Here's the debate. You're upset. They're saying we believe you. That's it?
I thought,
Yeah.
I almost,
What was the name?
David Berlinski.
David Berlinski. He's a.
I know who David
Yeah.
Berlinski
You
is.
know who he is.
Yeah.
Of course.
How do you know who he is?
Because I follow this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because I followed it.
Follow mathematician, theological philosophers.
Yeah, he met with Zelensky not long
Of
ago.
course.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
who Berlinski
What do you mean
is.
with Zelensky?
But by the
He
way,
was in the Ukraine.
in that
What?
world,
Why did we bring that up?
in that world, David is like,
Gentlemen, we're live.
we are
Whoa,
live. Okay.
whoa, hey, hello.
Yeah. So get your facts right. Anyways, today's guest is Ethan Suplee. The best way to describe Ethan Suplee is I've watched, what's it called? Remember the Titans. I don't know how many times I've watched.
How many often do you quote Remember the Titans?
I told the kids, my boys, it was one of the mandatory movies to watch before they get to watch any other movies. I sat them down and I had them watch Remember the Titans. Dylan is in love with the movie, which is great. It's a great movie. But here's a lineup. You've done movies with Denzel. Three movies with Denzel. Edward Norton in American History X, which is one of the craziest movies of all time. Sick movie, incredible acting. One of the best monologues, that one whole scene. Johnny Depp, Leo, Gosling, Kutcher, Jude Law, McConaughey. I can go on and on and on.
I don't know if I worked with McConaughey.
Yeah,
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street.
You're
Yeah,
in the Wolf of Wall Street, Leo.
I forgot about it.
And
I forgot that I worked with McConaughey. Tuesday.
just this morning, I was sitting there listening to on repeat Ain't No Mountain High with my kid. My kid was dancing. I listened to it over and over, and maybe we'll perform it today. I don't know. But he's done a lot of different things, but most recently, 21 years, you went from 530 pounds to 260 pounds, lost 1,000 pounds, give or take, because you would lose, you would gain. You've spoken about this openly. And we'll get into that as well. But an absolute stud of a guy. Ethan, thank you for joining the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes. The podcast started 10 minutes ago. We talked about a lot of other things.
Yeah, we're doing it.
You left off My Name Is Earl. That's where you'd see him on TV all the time with, was that Jason Lee?
Yeah.
What a guy, by
I
the way.
grew up on that show.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, all the
In
time.
Norway?
All the time. 100%.
In Norway?
Yeah, we got it in Norway.
You got fans in
Wow.
Norway.
Which is surprising.
Hello.
Guten Tag.
Yeah. Well, we were working on Kai on a different issue this morning because of David Berlinski yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
David's trying to walk through the back, and Kai's like, yeah, go ahead, go behind me. Like, Kai, get up and let this man
Tuck
get
it
through.
in.
And sit. But anyway, so it's good to have you on, man. It's good to have you on.
Good to be here.
Can I
Thanks for
tell you the
having
crazy story?
Yeah, I want to hear the story.
Okay, so here's the story.
This story scares me.
So it's 1999.
No, I'm telling you, I'm timing it because it's like late 2000, early 2001. I'm in debt $49,000. Breakup, girl, nothing's going right in my life. I'm thinking about going back to the Army. I've been out of the Army for like a year and a half. I'm drinking like you wouldn't believe. Like I'm trying to break records, and I broke a lot of records in the Army. But I'm like, I'm going all out, right, partying, and I'm coming back from it's either Garden of Eden or it's Dublin's or it's Palace or one of those key. It's not the other one in City of Industry. What was that one? The Century Club.
This is all in L.A., by the way.
I'm in Hollywood.
And you live in L.A., to be clear?
And
I did. I would never have gone as east as the Century Club. So it must have been one of these
It
other
was.
places.
It wasn't Century Club. So I'm coming up, and is it Fountain? I don't know what that Fountain and that whole, when you go this way, you hit the 5 freeway, there's a Chevron right there. And I go to this Chevron. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. I am gone, okay? But I got to fill up the gas tank, okay? And I get out and I see you. I'm like, hey, and you're gone. You were looking.
Oh, you see, literally.
Bro, he is black. I don't know what you were on, but I'm like, dude, this guy can't even walk straight. I can't walk straight. I'm like, you good? I'm good.
That was a mess.
Yeah, so that was around end of 2000, 2001. I'm like, shit, I freaking see you everywhere. It's like, what's up, bro? I'm like, what's up? And then we just went our own separate ways.
You just broed it up for a minute, or
no,
what?
it was like, it was a 30-second conversation, and then I left because. But that was in late 2000, early 2001.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know if you were partying back then. or
That
not.
was moments before my last trip to rehab.
Really?
Yeah.
That was moments before last trip to rehab.
Yeah.
And the last one was the last one that worked.
That was the last time.
What
I've
was
been
different between that one and the other ones?
there. You know, I don't really know. I think the difference was I had been to rehab a few times based on like friends sitting me down or my parents sitting me down and going, we're really concerned about you. And me going like, okay, I'll go do what you're telling me to do. And the last time I went, I woke up one day and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is no longer fun.
What did you go to rehab for?
Heroin.
Boom.
Yeah.
Like not even drinking, eating, all that.
No, I never went to rehab for eating. I didn't even know those existed. I think they do. I probably should have gone, but that took a little bit longer. I had to get sober before I could like actually work on my health and my physicality.
Ethan, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, heroin. Holy shit. What was that like?
In the earlier 90s, I was given Vicodin as a prescription, and the first time I took Vicodin, I just felt like this is my antidepressant. This is the state that I feel more comfortable in. And so when that ran out, I got another prescription. I eventually started. They had storefronts in the 90s down near downtown where you could go in and buy Vicodin for like $1 a pill.
In LA?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And then eventually it got hard to buy there. So, you get creative and you wind up finding out that heroin is just like the best form of Vicodin, and it's much easier to get than Vicodin too, in fact. So that's how I wound up on heroin.
And you're a full-on actor in Hollywood at this point.
Yeah.
Full on.
Yeah.
Like not, small roles. Like you're doing movies. Hollywood.
Yeah.
Ethan, is it easier? Was it the drug connection that had happened through Hollywood parties, or was it no? It was outside friends, other contacts.
There were no. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like, is the influence? I'm
yeah.
hanging out with a Hollywood guy. Oh, try some of this. Oh, okay, let's try.
No.
it. Okay.
No.
That's more cocaine.
Yeah, the cocaine is probably. I don't know what's acceptable now. I've been sober 20 years, so I have no idea what the kids are doing now, and I would be terrified to be entering into drug use now with the amount of overdose there is with fentanyl mixed in with everything like that. Scares the shit out of me. But I never walked into people doing heroin at a party. It was pretty taboo.
Yeah. By the way, just out of curiosity, what was harder to do? Was it tougher to give up the heroin, or was it tougher to lose the weight? Which one was tougher? And were both motivations the same? Is it like fear of death? Is it a girl in your life? Is it family? Is it I just got to change? Is it a spiritual moment? What was it? What were the differences?
Well, I think about it in different ways. I think that drugs are not easy to give up, but it's a kind of a black or white thing for me. And this is not necessarily for everyone, but for me, I am an addictive person. So I have to be all or nothing. I'm either using drugs and very quickly heading to death, or I'm not, and I'm very quickly heading to a healthier, happier life.
You can't dabble at all. You're a 0 or a 100.
Cannot.
That's just your
yeah,
DNA.
No, I don't have a glass of wine on New Year's or anything like that. The problem with stuff like heroin is, and it's not super widely talked about, is like the thing that I liked about it was it actually changed my brain chemistry, right? So whatever sense of happiness you get from succeeding at a goal you set for yourself, or anything, right, is now being given to you by this drug. So when you stop taking it, your body doesn't know how to do that. So you have these ex-junkies who are perpetually depressed for years. It takes a long time for your body to get back to normal. It's not just like get it out of your system and you're fine, right? You're constantly thinking my happiness, whether it's subliminal or you might not be having these thoughts analytically, but the sense is like I cannot function like a normal person without this stuff, because your body doesn't react any longer like a normal person. So it takes a long time to build those systems back up. The difference with food is you can't be black or white. You cannot just quit eating. You have to eat or you're going to die, right? So it's actually way more complicated. It's a lifetime process. There is no goal that I get to this weight and I'm done. That does not exist for me with food. And while I want to think about drug use also as a lifetime process, it gets to be so, as long as you're not doing it, my wife drinks alcohol. I am never tempted to have a glass of wine with her, ever. I wouldn't go sit in a bar by myself. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going back to some dude's hotel room to watch him do cocaine. That's not something I would ever put myself in that situation, right? But I have to eat. And so every night while I'm eating and I'm regulating what I'm eating, there is that thing that's, under the surface of like, put more oil on it, put more sugar on it, double your portion. So that's a more difficult thing, I think, to deal with long term.
Have you gotten to a point where food is now just, it's not, like yesterday we were eating with David Berlinski. I take him to Casa D'Angelo and I'm like, so what's your favorite food? I eat the same thing every day. That can't be. No, I eat the same thing every day. What do you eat for breakfast?
2 egg whites.
2 egg whites and sometimes. So what do you eat for lunch? I eat,
protein bar,
protein,
nothing.
whatever. Now, what do you eat for dinner? Burger
Cook up
every
a
day.
hamburger.
I said every day. He says I
Could
eat
care less what he ate.
At all.
We're at the nicest Italian
this.
restaurant. What do you want? I don't care.
Octopus. I've never had it before. You've never had octopus. You're 80 years old.
He lives in Paris.
Yeah. He said, no.
I don't eat any of the cuisine.
So has food for you, because one connection some people make that I think it's very interesting. So, I'm a foodie. Oh my God, we got to go eat some sushi. We got to go eat some. And eventually it's like, yeah, food is not my method of entertainment. Food is no longer for me like I'm looking forward to it. It's just what my body needs to eat, and it's become very regimented. Is that the distinction you had to make?
That's what I try to do. Now, listen, I too love to eat, and I think that as I got healthier and tried to take more responsibility with how I interact with food, I became way more interested in very specific types of food. Like I flew to China once to eat Peking duck at this little Lu Quan roast duck. It's in an alley, and it's like the best Peking duck on earth, apparently. Like I've done stuff like that.
You just went to China for that.
To eat
Come
duck.
on.
And
I got the duck. I'm out, yo.
And then I also ate, skewered scorpions that were fried on the street and stuff like that. Like I'm interested in food in that way. But the thing I've also found is I do eat mostly the same stuff, right? All the time. I always have whey protein and water for breakfast. That is what I eat for breakfast every day.
And water. Not
milk. Although I will say there's this new Fairlife protein drink that's 30 grams of protein, and I think it is made with milk, and I believe whey protein comes from milk, so there's that. But I don't put almond milk or anything like that in my protein powder. Moderation, I think, is the key to winning for the rest of my life. So I don't want to cut off everything and say, if I'm in Rome, I'm not going to eat the pasta dish that I love, right? I can't do that, but I'm going to have that one time, and then the rest of the time that I'm in Rome, I'm going to eat the way I eat normally, which is fish or meat and vegetables. For the most part.
What's your favorite food? Like if you were to say my favorite food is, like I would say it's ghormeh sabzi. It's a Persian stew. What's your favorite food?
I mean, if I was going to say my favorite Iranian food, I would say tahdig. And I would want something really juicy to pour on it. You know what I mean?
You ever been to Rafi's place?
Is that in Glendale?
Yeah. The owner is my best man at my wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
It's great food.
Yeah, phenomenal food. Yeah, the best.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite, though? What's your favorite food?
My favorite is tied up somehow with this memory of when I was 5 and I showed up at my grandparents' house in Vermont, and they said, God, you're so fat, you're going on a diet. And then my grandfather cooked what I remembered being my favorite meal, which was lasagna. And they gave me...
You're going on a diet.
They said you get this much, buddy.
A paper-thin slice. And so for the rest of my life, I was like, that's my favorite food. I don't think it really is. You know what I mean?
5 years old, because I've read this before, that it's kind of triggered where you're at with all your weight loss. What was that?
I don't want to blame them. I just thought, I don't think they really, their intentions were good and clean. But, also honestly, if they were the same age today and looked at the landscape of childhood obesity, they would have been like, you are fine. How heavy I was at 5. I was a chubby 5-year-old. I wasn't an obese 5-year-old, but they were shocked at my appearance. And put me on this crazy diet and then convinced my parents to put me on diets for the rest of my adolescence. I would say my favorite food, the food that I've eaten the most in the past 10 years, is Lebanese. Lebanese is my favorite food.
Lebanese.
It's very clean. You can get a healthy meal. It's not got a bunch of other garbage in it.
I saw the 3-hour podcast that you did with Rogan.
Yeah.
And the first hour, you guys just went in on food and dishes and this. And Pat just literally had, how many dinners did you have with Rogan this past weekend?
We were together for Friday night and Saturday night till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Steak dinners, though.
Cowford Steakhouse. Oh my! And we ate like at 3 in the morning. So imagine eating a fat steak at 3 o'clock. Like that's the
taboo.
worst thing you can do. And we went to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys went off about how he said I could just eat steak and vegetables and that's it. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
But pasta, like we had pasta and steak last night.
Gnocchi.
Well, yeah, but see, there's a universe now that the landscape of diets and diet fads gets really crazy. So for a long time, I was convinced if I just don't eat carbs, I'll lose weight and I'll be fine. But it got to the point where, because I can overeat, and that is really my predilection, is to overconsume. I'll overeat steaks. I'll eat 5,000 calories in a steak and only burn 3,000 calories that day and actually gain weight. So that's not a good solution for me.
So is it more important to portion control or eat healthier?
For me.
Okay.
There could be a guy who's out there who won't eat 5,000 calories in steaks, and all he has to do is cut carbs out of his diet and he'll be
That's
fine.
me,
That's
bro.
possible.
And you see this kid over here on your left? That guy carb loads.
Right.
Like he's
I'm
like
Norwegian.
he
I
eats
like
a
bread.
sandwich with the bread as the meat and then more bread. I'm like, what are you doing with
He
all
gets the club sandwich and removes the turkey.
Exactly.
There you go.
Talk some sense into
Half
this guy.
turkey, half
When you're
turkey.
23 years old, that works. When
Sure.
you're 33, you're going to be a fat ass.
So I gotta enjoy it while I can.
Unbelievable.
You gotta enjoy it while you
Carb
can.
loading
It's
over
true.
here.
Right on.
So go back to, you know, we were saying like the motive, because I feel like you said something. I had a friend of mine, and by the way, we had Kevin Farley here last week, Chris Farley's brother,
Yeah.
and obviously we know what happened with Chris. He was also heroin, and they tried to get to him over and over and over again, and then they eventually couldn't. 33 years old, boom, it's done, and we lost one of the greatest of all time. But what was, because I had a friend that went through it, and we talked about it with Kevin, and his deal was Vicodin, and he couldn't give it up, but he was taking 25 to 50 a day. It wasn't like he was taking 1 or 2. He was taking 25. I've seen him take 10 like this and just put it in his mouth like it's candy, right? He was doing that. And he couldn't go without it. He was addicted to it. We took him to a Tarzana rehabilitation center. You know which one? There's a Tarzana rehab center. And he had to go through for 2 weeks. Came out, he was good. Boom. A week later, he's reading the Bible, relapse, done. And we get the phone call, and the rest
was
is
that you're
history.
talking about?
It's a good friend of mine.
Okay,
my
you're
best
saying a
friend
friend.
in
I
the
thought you were
world.
talking-
Yeah, my best friend in the world. Anyway, so but the point is, I kept trying to get his motive, and it has to be him.
It has to be
So
him.
he was marrying a girl that he loved. I'm like, is the love that strong that you're willing to change for her? I don't know if it was. You know, he had reasons with his dad and his mom. He had a brother, you know. I'm like, maybe career, maybe identity, maybe it's like we took him to church to see maybe churches, because, you know, a lot of times it's church. A lot of people have given up a lot of drugs and alcohol because of a connection. They had spiritual connection to Catholics, Mormonism, Scientology, Christian, Jude. It doesn't matter. There's so many great stories. Even Scientology has that one place in what do you call it? The Arrowhead. I think it's Arrowhead, right? Like where there's a facility there that you're going through drugs or rehab that you go through, and it's actually very effective. I've heard it from a lot of different people that it's worked for them. But there has to be something on the individual, right? Nobody can impose you, say, you better get it done. What's the matter with you? You're going to kill yourself. That's not going to work. What was your...
So I you know, it's hard to say, because in this conversation, you have people who are listening who are going like, I know a guy who I need that guy to have whatever I had. And I just don't know if there's a formula to create that in an individual. I think it's possible to present data and solutions, and like, when you're ready, we're here. You know, I've got a plan that you can follow. But I do believe until the individual is ready themselves. I had multiple interventions run on me. Nothing. I would go to sleep at night for a couple of years believing I was going to die in my sleep, and was just like, well, that's what it is. And none of that changed. And I woke up one day and was just, I was in need of change. I woke up and I could not exist the way I was existing anymore. And I'm so thankful that I didn't die before that day happened. And then likewise, food and that health and my weight was another thing that, like, no matter what evidence people presented to me and what solutions were presented to me, I didn't change until I was ready to change. Having been a drug addict and morbidly obese, I've had many parents say we need help with our kid and this and that. And there was a period in time where I would go and talk to people and talk at schools and stuff like that. And I'm happy to talk and share my experience, but sitting down with one-on-one and trying to convince them to change, that I've always had failures with. And I've always seen failures with this. I don't know that it's possible to convince somebody to change until they're ready to change. Now, that's not to say somebody comes and says, I'm ready to change, and you go, great, I can help you, right? That's possible. But I have not seen a lot of success with, like, we need to handle this guy. We need to fix him.
Oh, I totally agree with you. No, what I'm not asking that.
I'm asking what it was exactly.
Yeah, what I'm asking is, like, so for me, what I've seen is, it's a girl. You're in love with a girl. That changes, right? It's a loss of a loved one. You lose a parent. You lose somebody. You're like, dude, like, for me, my biggest, like, how I changed, dude. If you had asked my counselor in high school said, I feel sorry for your dad having heart attacks, but I would also have heart attacks if I had a son like you. In high school, there's not a single soul that said I was going to amount to anything in life, right? So I'm not the guy that's supposed to win. So the only guy that said, listen, you're not a guy that's going to do anything with your life. Why don't you go join the Army? A guy named Jesus Guerrero. Like, it was a recruiting station down from Glendale High School, because I went to Glendale High School. So he was right off of Colorado and Verdugo. Jesus said, hey, Pat, I think you need to join the Army. You got a uniform. You got something to do. You're going to travel. They're going to pay for it. You're going to be able to get the hell out of here. I'm like, oh, that's the selling point to me. The selling point was, you can get the hell out of here and just go. And I'm like, I'm in, right? I went in. Then I got out, and I'm still, determined to make money. I got dreams. I want to do stuff. I'm a performer. I'm not like a guy that's sitting around not doing shit. But my dad had the heart attack. I went to the hospital. I saw my dad on his deathbed. He lost 40 pounds, and they kicked me out of the hospital because they were not treating him good. And the lady's like, who are you? Who do you think you are? This is a government. You're not paying. Taxpayers are paying for this. Did you pay for this? I'm sorry. You can't talk to us like that. They came and they kicked me out of the place. I'm in the car, my Ford Focus. I'm crying like a little baby. And it's as if, like this, the next day I'm a whole different human being. I came to work and it was done. I went working 80 to 100. I said, I'm not going to stop till that guy doesn't have to worry about a single thing about money. And it was game over. It's a 180 human being, 1 minute to the next minute. My friends would call and would go out and say, we missed the old Pat. And I said, dude, I don't miss the old Pat. I like the new Pat. So you can reminisce about the old Pat. That guy ain't coming back. I'm committed to this. But it was a moment with my father. And I've seen this happen with a lot of people in my life. I'm 43 right now. You're 1976, May 25th or May 26th? You're
25.
25. So,
yeah.
So I'm 43. So you see at 43, you see different things on what causes people to change. What was yours?
And I probably don't make it long term with the drugs without my wife also, like, in fairness. But the biggest change I saw was me getting a taste of what my life could be like with my wife, who's now my wife. She wasn't my wife then, and wanting it to be better. And that was it. That was all it took for me to go, like, oh, I'm never turning back.
Go.
Yeah.
So how long you been with her?
20 years.
It seems
And
like
I'm just sorry, you were way bigger when you met her.
Yeah. I met her when I was 16, fell in love with her when I was 16, was in the friend zone for a long time. And finally we started to have a relationship. And it was like the moment we started to have a relationship, I went, oh my God, I want to make sure this lasts. How do I make sure this lasts? What's the thing I can do to be the best partner to her I can possibly be? And that was the biggest change I could make.
So it seems like it was, and once that, like, the kind of connection really happened, boom, like
Yeah.
almost like Pat's story with his dad.
I feel bad relaying that because I can't lend people my wife to inspire them. You know what I mean? Like
but that's not how I process it, bro. The way I process it is the same goes the other way. Like Chaz Palminteri. There's a video that's going viral with Chaz, and then Kevin Hart posted it, and it's a sick video. He said, and I shared it on Instagram today. He said, in life, you can try so hard. If you're a winner, to get your friends to win, you can do it. Come on, blah, blah, blah. He says you can put all your energy. If that guy doesn't want to do it, you can't do shit for that guy. He said, however, he said a great person trying to lift somebody that has no desire won't work. He said, however, a person with potential, who has the potential, a bad person can definitely demotivate you and pull you down to their level. That is effective with everybody, right? So
crabs in a bucket.
But the point is, I think, finding the right person that you say, I'm going to do it for this person, or finding a motivation that's going to be for that person. There is a message there. There is a message to, say, I'm going to do it for this person. Because sometimes some personalities, we are more like, how there's guys that like to fight, and then there's guys that like to stop fights. There's guys that are like, hey, what'd you say? Come on, let's go. Listen. And then there's guys like, I'm sorry, did you touch my friend? You touched my friend? Are you out of your... You hit him? And then boom, you're fighting for somebody, right? The flag carrier mentality of people, if they have that, they need to have something to fight for themselves. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
No, it does totally. And I like what you said about having a church, having a support group, finding a group of people that are like-minded. So if you are alone, if you are struggling with getting motivated, I think there are groups out there that you can go and become a member of, even if it's just a gym, and you're like, I'm saying hi to that dude every day, and that's who I'm going to be accountable. I don't know their name.
It's crazy.
I don't know anything.
Yeah.
But I want to make contact with that person, say hello, and we're both going to nod, and we're going to know we're doing this together to some degree, right? I do agree. I don't think we're, no man is an island. There's a beautiful poem, No Man is an Island. And basically it's like, no matter, and I believe in individualism. I am an individualist for sure. But that said, none of us function on our own. We're all connected to other people. And there's a symbiotic relationship that we have with other people, no matter what. That's how we are succeeding and surviving and all of that.
Yeah. Let me add one thing about Chaz. You good?
No, I'm good.
You're choking up.
It's water.
So for you, your motivation was your dad, right? For you, your motivation was your wife, or the chemistry that you had with the wife, and you didn't want to lose that feeling. It might, for me, it's not always someone else. It sometimes comes down to what's going on internally. So for me, Chaz in the movie The Bronx Tale, and I still like the fact that I met Chaz and he was on the podcast. It was the most surreal moment, and he gave me the card, and on the freaking card, it had the quote that I would write every single fucking day for years, and it would say, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. So for me, it was more internal, like my fear of mediocrity. I did not want to be average. I knew that I had gifts, whether that was with business or sports, or what I used to do stand-up comedy, or like whatever I did, like my biggest motivation was like, just don't be average. Don't just be just a run-of-the-mill blah 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 person. So I no matter whatever it was that I ended up being, like, do it.
Yeah.
So to people out there, find that motivation.
Yeah.
And the coming full circle, and the fact that you brought up Chaz, I love that guy. I mean, in my wallet today is the card he gave me. The saddest thing in life is
I watched
wasted
his
talent.
show. Have you seen his show? Have you seen Chaz's show? So I watched his show because, Bronx Tale started off as a Broadway show,
right,
and then it became a movie. And I think Bob saw it, De Niro saw it, and is like, hey, what about if we do this and I play your father and you play, Sonny? And I saw him, the play for Chaz. I'm not even kidding with you. He does the entire movie, beginning to the end, every line, and he acts everybody in the movie with one chair. If you've never, I went to somewhere in Fort Lauderdale by Los Olas to watch this. It was like 1,200 people in the room. You know how, they say you touch your phone 150 times a minute or whatever the number is? I didn't touch my phone once for 90 minutes.
Right.
And I sat there, I'm like, I cannot believe I didn't touch my phone. It was the performance was insane. You felt like you were in the streets with him. So Chaz, props to him for what he's doing.
Yeah.
But respect, man, for where you're at. For some that know, can you put up a picture of? By the way, does it bother you when you see pictures of before and after? Doesn't know anything. Okay, put pictures of Ethan
Suplee.
when just go images. Just go to images.
There's one picture up there that doesn't bother me at all.
Look at that stud right there.
Look at that guy.
The hot picture with you with your shirt off, flexing.
Well, there's one that's pretty good. There's
Holy
other ones
shit,
I don't
those
love.
legs. Damn.
What picture are you most proud of, and what are you most ashamed of? I don't want to say ashamed, but I never want to go back to that.
I'm not really ashamed. It's just such a bizarre time in my life that I just really didn't care about myself at all.
Is that the same human being?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Technically, I mean, there's parts of my brain that haven't regenerated. But
at this
skin
guy.
is all.
Louis Lastic,
Yeah.
right? What a character in that movie.
What a freaking, he made it, by the way. I mean, that every team needs a guy like that. He's a unifier. You played the role of a unifier in that movie. Favorite movie you've ever done? You've done a lot. What's your favorite one that you've done that you're both most proud of as well as you had the most fun?
Well, the most fun is a tricky one, but the one I'm most proud of for sure, as far as like a movie, there's Wolf of Wall Street is really great, but also Cold Mountain I thought was like a really, really great movie. The most fun I had was either Wolf of Wall Street or a movie called Without a Paddle, which was
Hilarious.
bizarrely
Without
fun.
a paddle. Oh my God, I forgot. What was it? What song was it? But my body, is that the one?
Yeah,
I don't see nothing wrong.
Bump and grind?
Yeah.
We're gonna go bump and
They're
grind with
cold.
this thing right now?
Is that the movie where they're cold?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's a
Who was in
hilarious.
Without a Paddle? What was that movie?
Oh, it's a hilarious movie.
Me and Abraham Ben Ruby played brothers, and we're chasing these three dudes around the forest. And
With
Sick.
Seth Green?
yeah, it was
I
awesome.
Look at
remember
Dak Shepard
Shepard.
in
I
there.
remember this movie. Yeah, of course.
Hilarious movie, by the way. I haven't seen one. When did this movie come out? Early 2000s?
That was almost 20 years ago.
2004. There it
Wow.
is. Yeah.
And then Matthew, this guy was taking over Hollywood and then gone. I don't know what happened to Matthew Lillard.
I don't know. He was on a TV show recently called that I did a couple episodes of, and I'm blanking on what it's. Good Girls. He was on Good Girls. Yeah.
But I
That's,
mean,
that happens to actors too. Like we go and do a TV show, and if you're not watching the TV show, it's as though we disappeared off the face of the earth.
yeah, that's true. We got to talk about Remember the Titans. Why is that so important to you? I mean, the thing about that was the team, the chemistry, the race relations. It took place in the 60s.
First of all,
What year was this?
You know when the whole
60s.
Yeah.
BLM thing was going on with the
Yeah.
protesting? I tweeted out, I said, America, go watch this movie today.
No, literally, you did.
I said, go watch this movie today. Everybody, this movie needs to go viral and everybody needs to watch it
2 years
again.
ago.
This was 2 years ago, yeah. Because the story, it was so much about what was going on 2 years ago. This whole thing that, hey, you're white, you're black, hey, buses. No, you guys are all mixing up. You're all going to sitting together. And he takes them and says, hey, look what happened to these soldiers. They fought together. Nobody cared if you're white and black. And then they came back. And to them, racism was gone. But they came to a group of people that racism still existed.
Right.
And then they're kind of like, oh, shit, this is going to be kind of awkward. And that's kind of what's going on, right? You kind of like, dude, I don't even think about race. I don't even think about the fact that we have any different. I'm freaking from Iran. Believe me, when 9/11 happened and everyone's looking, I'm in the financial industry. Where are you from? I'm from Iran. Did you say no, I was born and raised in Iran. You're born and raised in Iran? Yes. So you're from the same neck of the woods that guy that did what he did? Yeah, kind of. But I'm different.
Very much kind of,
Yeah,
though,
it's
right?
like- it's like,
1,000 miles away.
Yeah, to the idiots out there, you're just a brown guy from the Middle East.
Yeah, but to the average guy, like,
Yeah.
wow, you kind of look weird. You don't look like
Yeah.
normal like us. You look like one of these
But
guys.
about as close as an Italian.
But that's close to an Italian. I'm 18% Italian because you did that test and you're not French. I did the
Not at
test.
all.
I found out someone hooked up with an Italian, 18%.
Right.
But everything else was pretty accurate. But, you see that movie and you're like, oh, man, dude, we are so like, and I feel like it goes back to the same thing. They keep saying it over and over and over and over and over. They're telling it to you so many times that like, naive people are buying into it. Like, you know what? I think I am. No, you're not. No, you're not. They've just convinced you are. You are not. That's not your DNA. That's not your identity. You don't wake up being like that. it's just been sold to you constantly, right? And then eventually, I read a book years ago. It was called The Genius in All of Us. And the author talks about how a low-income to middle-income family, a kid who is born, by the time he turns 18, he has heard the word no or been rejected 600 more times than he's been encouraged, right? So a low-income, middle-income family, you've been rejected 600 more times than encouraged, right?
You're now accustomed to that.
You're now accustomed to that.
You're expecting it.
Yeah. And then it says like middle to lower upper class, it was like 100,000 that you've been discouraged than encouraged. And then it explains families at upper and above, you're encouraged 100 more thousand times than discouraged. Like it's above. And it's like the kids, walking around like this, they have some confidence. They go to the schools. They feel pretty good about them. So this is not for everybody because some of them are very, very critical. But the point is, words have power.
Yeah.
Affirmation, a lot of power. And we're affirming. And by the way, I don't even know where you stand. What do you think about what's going on with America last couple years here politically? Where we're at? You're in an industry that's you guys. I have friends in that world, and we talk, but it's walking on eggshells a little bit in the business you're in. How has that affected your business the last few years?
How has it affected my business? Well, I personally find all politicians to be liars, and so there's no way for me to get behind a political party simply because I just don't trust any of them. In my business, I do know that 10-ish years ago, there was a group called the Friends of Abe, Abraham Lincoln being the first Republican president. And it was a very big group, and they would publish their board and all the members, and it was a very open group.
Yep.
And as soon as Trump came into office, the other side got so crazy that this group was no longer allowed to exist. So it disbanded, and that, to me, that makes me sad, the intolerance for another perspective, because I think that for the most part, individuals, not politicians, but individuals have these ideas of, I perceive a problem. And for the most part, everybody can agree that whatever, X is a problem. So then it's just about finding solutions. And I might have a different idea about a solution than you have, but I don't think that we should be waging war with each other over our difference of solving the same problem. And that intolerance is very disappointing.
I used to go to meetings with John Voight in LA and with a man named Fred and then a couple other guys, owners of Public Storage, and would go to the house in Malibu, and they would have the most interesting conversations. But the way they would do it, it wasn't like, we're Republican. They would bring the campaign manager of Bill Clinton, and they would bring the campaign manager of Bush. 2-hour conversations, 40 of us in the room. And let me tell you, unfreaking believably entertaining.
Yeah.
And like you're learning, right? So when the camera was off, they got along. It's almost like, hey, we're just the two different teams. So let's just figure out, what my motives are, and I got to give up some stuff to get with you. But, going through John and, some of the other guys, obviously we know who in Hollywood is what side and what not side, but some of them got ousted. Some of them didn't. Some of them were bulletproof. You couldn't do shit to Clint Eastwood. It's like, dude,
no, you can't.
Nothing.
And you can't do shit to
Saint
Clint
status
Eastwood.
for him,
Yeah, for sure. There are a couple of them. Gary Sinise, I think he can probably be aligned with whatever he wants, and he's fine. But I think for the rank and file, there became a thing where it's like, well, we're just not going to say anything. We're not going to openly support anything.
Sucks, though,
I agree.
bro. Yeah,
I agree.
That sucks. And is there anybody that's kind of like, because I saw, did you see the article with Mark Wahlberg, what he announced yesterday? If you want to pull up Mark Wahlberg,
the movie he did?
He did The Father Stew with Mel Gibson. And Mel Gibson, one of the greatest actors of all time. But he came out and he said something yesterday about the fact that he's inspired. Yeah. He said Mark Wahlberg explains how Mel Gibson inspired him to spend millions and millions of his own money on Father Stew. And not only that, this story goes further. He says, I feel at this phase of my life, I'm getting a calling. Can you is this yesterday's article or 2 days ago?
This is 2 days ago.
Oh, it's yesterday. The article I read was yesterday. It's very recent. Go back a little bit. Anyway, so he himself, you see him as a pretty reasonable guy, reveals his
Mark, by the way, Mark Wahlberg, you can't
click on that one.
You
Not your
can't
typical.
you can't really see it. It's not so overt. But that dude has evolved. That dude, when I was young, I've known Mark for a long time. I did a movie with him.
Was he in American History X or no?
No, but I did a movie with him called Deepwater Horizon. But I've known him for a long time. When we were kids, like children, teenagers, he was a bit of a mess. He wasn't maybe as much of a mess or as overt of a mess as I was, and I don't think he had a real drug problem, or did drugs at all. I don't know about that. But he now is a father. He's married. He's very serious about his faith. Like, he has turned his life around, really,
in a big way.
Big way.
And he, the movie he did, was it Brothers? What was the name of the movie where the four brothers, it's him.
Yeah,
it's
Four
Andre
Brothers.
Is it Four Brothers? The movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Tyrese. I want to say.
I just feel like
Yeah.
that's him. The movie he played the story of Mickey, not Mickey Ward. Is it Mickey Ward? Where
The Fighter.
the brother is it the fighter? It's called The Fighter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The Fighter.
You just look at him. You're like, I don't think you're acting, bro. I just believe you. I just think you're being you. Like, Denzel's not acting to me. Denzel is just himself. And he's got one role that he crushes it in. Right.
Yeah.
You don't see him being able to do. But he sticks to this one role that he crushes because I don't think he's acting. But to see a guy like him, he just showed me an article here from People magazine where he says, he's feeling like there's a calling.
Let's pull it up. It's on
Yeah.
Slack.
This is God choosing me was one of the headlines.
Yeah, God choosing me.
Tyler, it's on Slack.
I don't see it on Slack.
Check yesterday.
Anyway, so you're seeing some of that taking place because I believe the power of right there. So Mark Wahlberg says he spent millions on faith-based movies. This is God choosing me to make it. Okay, go up a little bit to see what else he says. They're making it a little bit bigger. 50-year-old my father, Stu Mel Gibson, director, some millions. Let's just say I put millions and millions of dollars into the film and then incurring other costs because we went over schedule in production and there were clearances for the music. Said Wahlberg, adding that the few friends who believed in the project also invested in it. Wahlberg said he prayed every day about getting this film made. I cannot take credit for the movie's success because this is God choosing me to make this film. He knows finally I get to utilize all the talents and gifts that have been bestowed upon me for his greater good and serve my part in his big picture. So you're seeing some of that. This is, I believe, one time, one of my mentors, Dudley, he gives a speech. He says there's 7 mountains to climb. Military, you got business, you got church, you got all these politics. And then he says entertainment. He says the toughest one to climb to the top is entertainment. But entertainment is the one that you can really have some mass influence, right? Whoever controls Hollywood and movies controls the masses. I mean, that's just what there is to it. If I want to manipulate a mindset into anybody, I'll just make a movie out of it and put the right actor, spend $100 million. I can get you to think, well, maybe that's not that bad of an idea, right? But I don't think we have enough competition on both sides. Like, I think Vince Vaughn where he went and he endorsed, was it Ron Paul at a libertarian event? I don't know if you remember that.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I do know that whatever he did politically probably had
Hurt
some
him a little
effect
bit.
on him.
Yeah. So
You think Hollywood kind of excommunicated him because he
I don't
came
know.
out
I don't know
politically?
about excommunicated. He's still around. He's still doing movies. But Vince Vaughn was a massive movie star,
Dude,
and
mega.
he is not a massive movie
Not
star.
today,
And I
no.
don't think he had a
happened
huge
there?
string of failures.
No, what failure? I mean, the guy has got, everybody gets their set of failures. Like you talked about earlier, hey, if our show goes, we literally disappear. But what does it take in that space to get to a point of being untouchable? Is it your own money? Because Clint is using his own money at this point. Of course, he's got some investors that come in as well, but it's majority of it is his own money.
Also, even think about this: Woody Allen. Woody Allen still makes a movie every year or every other year or something like that, and he is basically blacked out. Like, you don't hear about the movies, you don't see the movies. They're all just going to Europe or something like that. But he still manages to get them made. It's all funded out of another country or private investors or something like that. Hollywood is not investing in Woody Allen.
I don't know
films.
if there's anybody that's untouchable in Hollywood. No matter, I mean, look at Will Smith. I mean, he would have
Or
been in my
Harvey
top
Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein was, but he's not. He doesn't have the name recognition that a Will Smith does, or even a Mel Gibson did in the early 2000s.
But there's a difference.
Harvey Weinstein was a gangster. He was he was politically connected. Harvey Weinstein was
behind the
untouchable.
scenes.
Yeah.
Untouchable. But To the masses, it's like, who's this scummy
FYI
dude?
though, there is an example there that's different than Vince Vaughn and then Clint, and you got some of the other guys, right? Josh, I would put him there as well, probably. Is it Pratt? Is it Chris?
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, right? Who played?
They're trying.
They're trying to get him too. Yeah,
They're trying to
get
do
him
what?
to get rid of Chris Pratt because he's religious.
Zach Levi, even Zach Levi.
Who's they though?
There's a big portion of Hollywood or the left which does not approve of the church that Chris Pratt goes to. And so there is constantly attempts to say, like, you should not have, until this guy apologizes for his church or makes his church better, you should not hire this guy.
And are these the same people that are trying to cancel if you were part of the Friends of Abe? Are they the same people that are trying to cancel Pratt? Are they the same people
by the way,
canceling Vince Vaughn? Who are these people?
It could be two people on Twitter. I don't know who it is, but there is a general sentiment that if your church was ever not super fond of gay people, your church is excommunicated and you can't be a part of it. So I know, like, Elliot Page has come out and talked poorly about Chris Pratt and his church, which then leads to voices on Twitter, anonymous voices
Domino
on
effects.
Twitter. Yeah, and it builds that way. I don't know who all of the people are, but they're the culture of Hollywood is very
Get in line or get out.
yeah,
Let me tell you,
not tolerant of religious positions, not tolerant
But isn't
of
there
other ideas.
irony there that their whole thing is inclusion, tolerance?
But I
but
think-
if you don't fit in, fall in line, you out.
I think any of that, though, even on the right, if the idea is like absolute free speech, then what was the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s? That was all a right-wing fear of, like, you can't talk about this stuff, right? Like, let's arrest Two Live Crew. Their language is bad. I think no matter what, the group in power wants to stay in power, and they want a homogenous dialogue so that there's no dissent. There's no taking that power away from them.
Yeah, don't forget, we're not against rap. We're not against rappers, but we are against those thugs, right? So they wanted to kind of, the hip hop, all of that. So, but here's what you said. You said Harvey Weinstein, and you said Will Smith. The difference with Will Smith is it's self-inflicted. He screwed up. Hollywood's not canceling him. He canceled himself. That's what he did. That's
Will
a big
Smith?
screw. Which we can talk about that. But Will Smith is a screw up, which is a lot deeper than anything else. But
By the way, my preference would be you do something that people are offended by. You have a very clear path to redemption. There should be some way to make amends. You come out and apologize. I don't know what it is, but there should be a way to go, like, without being self-serving, I screwed up. I'm really sorry. That's not me. Because Will Smith, to me, is like, he was this. I still think he's a sweetheart, and he had a bad night.
1,000,000%.
He had a bad night.
But think about what we're saying here right now. We're actually putting Harvey freaking Weinstein and Will Smith even in the same category.
I don't think
I'm not saying that we are. I'm just
doing
saying the fact that those two names are intertwined because Will Smith slapped Chris Rock.
I don't think they're in the same category.
No, they're
at all.
not.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
But the fact that Harvey Weinstein, what he did was disgusting and repugnant. And what Will Smith, okay,
Can
fucking slapped the dude.
Can I make a prediction? I'm going to make
sir.
a prediction to you. Okay. So what I think is happening is the following. So Will is a different story. Harvey is complete. He uses power to abuse and all that stuff, and then eventually it was too late. Vince is, we don't agree with you. He is actually being affected by it because this guy goes from being one that you saw him everywhere to, and by the way, that guy's multidimensional. He did like this one Psycho movie that, maybe it was Psycho. I don't know what movie he was in where he's playing this freaking crazy husband that's capable of doing murder and all these things. Then he goes and does Wedding Crashers. So he's so multi-talented, right? But, the Clints of the world, all these guys, here's what's about to happen. And you're going to see how this whole thing's going to come together. So Elon Musk goes out there and says, hey, I got a problem with what's going on with Twitter. All of a sudden, I'm convinced he's like, oh, you guys want to silence the president? You want to silence Rogan? You want to silence this? You want to silence Babylon B? You want to? Oh, you do? No problem. Okay, cool. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy Twitter. Oh no.
I love it.
He just
I'm
wants
so
to.
happy
Yeah, he
about
just
this.
wants to be a minority shareholder. That's all. No. Oh no, he's buying 9.2%, matching Morgan Stanley as a biggest shareholder, and then the CEO of Twitter sends a tweet saying, well, we're working together and we're welcoming him to be on the board. And And then he's like, dude, I'm not joining the board. And then the CEO of Twitter digs at Elon a little bit. And I'm convinced Elon's like, I'm sorry, what did you just say? I own this company, bro. I'm the biggest shareholder. No problem. You know what? If we can show this article here, Yahoo Finance this morning, Elon Musk offers to buy 100% of Twitter for $54 a share.
I can't wait to enjoy
Dude,
Twitter
can you
again.
imagine?
I can't wait.
I
can't wait.
That's right. So he goes up there and buys it. This is a byproduct of bullion. So what am I convinced going to happen next? Here's what I'm convinced going to happen next.
See the quote. I invested in Twitter as I believe in its potential to the platform for free speech around the globe.
Free speech is a social imperative for functioning democracy. However, since making my investment, I now realize the company will neither thrive nor serve the societal imperative in its current form. Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. As a result, I'm offering to buy 100%.
By the way, you think Morgan Stanley's not going to sell to them?
Morgan doesn't give a shit. Morgan's like, dude, take the money. The market's about to tank next year. Buy it.
They're making 40% on their money there.
Dude, that's crazy, right?
So they're calling it a $43 billion hostile takeover. Why is it considered a hostile takeover?
It's okay.
Because the board does
the
not
media doesn't want
him.
it. Yeah.
Let it be a hostile takeover. It's great. But here's the thing, guys. Brace for impact. Brace for freaking impact. Who did Bezos just buy recently?
Washington Post.
No, he bought that a while back.
MGM
He just
Studios.
bought
Yeah,
MGM Studios
right.
recently. Now, the motives.
really?
Yeah, he
Yes.
did. He
Yeah.
just bought MGM.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
I didn't know that.
So you got these two guys, okay?
Buying
Whereas-
everything.
Wait a minute, but do you see Bezos as a true believer, or do you believe Bezos is playing a game of who's going to end up having the most money and the most power? And do you think Elon Musk is a true believer, where which of these guys is more concerned about the little guy and protecting the voice? Is
I
it
think
Bezos?
Musk is for
I don't
sure.
think it's even a question. I agree with you, right? I totally agree with you. So here's the thing. He's buying for business. I saw Jon Stewart interview Bob Iger from Disney and questioning about news and ABC and all this stuff. And, you guys are, how you reported on this and you reported on that, and you guys are so one-sided. So I don't know about if we're one-sided. So you don't think you're one-sided? It was a very interesting interview. If you haven't watched it, it's 15 minutes. Highly recommend you watch. Jon Stewart interviewing Iger like 2 weeks ago, especially with what's going on with Disney right now, with all that stuff. I think, I'm convinced, Elon's going to get into the movie business. I'm convinced. This next move, you got two other companies you got to buy, okay? The next company he has to buy is CNN. He has to buy it, okay? Because he's more of a Ted Turner than the current CNN is a Ted Turner. So he buys these guys. Then he buys, what do you call it? He buys CNN. After buying CNN, he has to go buy a major catalog or a major media company, okay? No, it's not Netflix. He could do Hulu. He could do one of those other guys. He could do any of those guys, and you can buy that for package. For him, it's not a big
What
deal.
about a movie studio like on MGM?
Well, MGM is gone because
No, I'm saying, or like a Paramount, or
but that's
I
what
don't
he's
know
going to do. He's going to do that because he's starting. People have to realize, okay, the way Hitler got the world to buy into him is the first time the movie Titanic came out. Who was the director of Titanic? A guy named Hitler. And who was the hero of Titanic?
Wait,
The
what?
hero of Titanic at the end is a Nazi. The soldier that saved was a Nazi.
I didn't see this version. of
Okay, so
Titanic.
if you go to
This
Titanic,
is not the Leonardo
put
DiCaprio
no,
version.
no,
I know.
Titanic,
It's not.
first Titanic.
What?
Okay, you guys are okay. Go Titanic 1943. Okay, go put Titanic 1943 film. Okay, right there. Okay,
German propaganda
yes,
film.
this is a German propaganda film, which was Nazis were heroes.
Wow.
And he was controlling the entire movie, beginning to the end.
Commissioned
Okay.
by Joseph Goebbels.
Yes, that's the point. So what am I? Are you?
No, I'm just.
You don't know about this?
I just desperately hope you're not going to compare Elon Musk to Hitler. That's
Not at
I'm
all.
hoping.
No.
Well,
What
you are
what
saying
I'm-
propaganda and winning hearts and minds.
No. I'm saying that's what they're doing today.
Right.
I'm saying that's what Hollywood's doing today. You guys, and then Churchill had to go against freaking Hitler to save the world, or else all of us will be speaking German. I think a guy like Churchill and Musk are very similar. I think Musk is going to come out and going to say, "You guys think you're that bad? No problem. Watch what we're going to do." And by the way, You saw already they're trying to get him for Twitter. Oh, investigation, SEC. Bullshit. All that crap's going to come. But what makes Elon Musk similar to Clint Eastwood, it's his own money, and he's got this going for himself. He tells everybody, go screw yourself. So I think he's got it. It's like a trinity. Trinity is what? Twitter, okay, which is where we're talking. CNN, that's where we get the news. And he needs the trinity. It's the media, movies. I think that happens. People gonna be shivering every night saying, holy shit. And in Hollywood, finally, the Vince Vaughns of the world are gonna get their $20 million. Because that's a $20 million movie guy. That's not a freaking $2 million guy. That's a $20 million movie guy. And it's gonna go back to saying, let's compete. Okay. So that's my prediction. I may be way off, but I foresee something like that taking. I think if Elon's got 2 more moves, it's 2 moves. CNN.
I love it.
Yeah.
That
And
sounds
he thinks
fun.
he thinks long term in terms of how he set up with the Roadster, and
He's
then
a true believer.
the Tesla S, and then the Tesla 3.
Yeah.
So he thinks in 5, 10, 15-year increments. So I mean, if there's anyone to think that long and that far out, I mean, he's the guy.
I also love that he's open to, if you wanted to get some feature added to a Ford pickup truck,
Good luck.
it would take 20 years or all kinds of stuff. Elon Musk reads a tweet, thinks it's a good idea. It's happening the next day in a car. You know what I
Software
mean?
update.
So yeah, it's unbelievable.
When he first took over 9.2% of Twitter, he said, "Does Twitter need an edit button?" And he spelled yes wrong to kind of. Okay, I don't want to be the dissenter here, but let me just kind of throw this out there. Is there? We're kind of singing Elon Musk's praises and all the great stuff that he's doing. You're talking the Trinity. What's the downside with having that much power as one guy? There's got to be something.
Nothing as long as there's a competitor. Nothing. Capitalism works. I trust it. Capitalism works because there's competition. These motherfuckers, I'm sorry, I don't use the F word too often. What they've done is they've eliminated all their competition is what they've done. They've had a monopoly. Hollywood's had a monopoly for too long. And behind closed doors, they're bullying people. Netflix came and they freaking scared the shit out of everybody where Ricky Gervais gets up on stage and says what? Hey, you guys may as well give up and surrender and say, Netflix, take all the awards tonight, right? Netflix played a very important role, okay? Then you got Hulu, all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute. I used to have control of all of you guys. I don't anymore. It's called capitalism. It's called innovation. It's called pushing you back a little bit. And in every industry, you're going to experience bullies, okay? In every industry, you're going to experience bullies. What happens with bullies is bullies can only go so far. But what bullies don't realize is bullies inspire people. And bullies inspire those who go up against bullies. Hitler was a bully. Churchill is the guy that goes up against bullies, okay? I can go on and on about people that went up against bullies. What bullies kind of, it's very easy. If you allow somebody to bully you every day, the next day, what are they going to do? They're going to keep taking your lunch until you finally stand up to them, right? What's starting to happen today is guys like Elon, there's going to be more. It's not just Elon, by the way. There's a few other guys. Peter Thiel's on that camp, and there's like 50 guys that are brawlers. That and what they've done is, some of them were asleep. Some of them were distracted. But they officially have woken up some of the guys that they should have never woken up, and they're true believers. They're about to experience competition the next decade or two like they've never experienced before. I'm convinced the next 2 decades are gonna be freaking sick.
By the way, I just want you to do motivational speeches where you basically say that because I feel better. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're gonna be okay.
We're gonna be okay, bro.
This is a white pill, my friend. You know what I mean?
That's not a red pill.
Bring back Motivation Mondays, Pat.
I think we're going in. I'm telling you right now. This whole thing with Future's Bright. I keep saying Future's Bright. Bright. I'm telling you, guys like Musk are going to get up because the next, you know how somebody's a president? What do? We kind of want to emulate the president. So Reagan's president. Oh, I'm going to talk like Reagan because Reagan and Johnny Carson, they kind of talk like each other. They have their same style. And Bill Clinton. Oh, shit, Bill Clinton's a player. I'm going to be a player too, dog. You know, Obama, we're all walking. We're talking and we're doing all this stuff. Then Trump's president. Oh, dog, we're back. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a fucking. So when an Elon is now the hero, dude, you're going to have 5 million kids going to school who are all in tryout right now, who are the next future Elons. They can't let an Elon stay as a hero. They have to control who the hero is. Because if Elon stays as the hero, dude, you're not only locked in next 10, 20 years, you may be locked in the next 40 years if he stays as the hero. It's very, very important who is painted as the hero for a decade or two because kids emulate him. Like Steph Curry's a great face of the league. LeBron's not. He's a horrible face of the league. Horrible. Like I hope Giannis becomes a face of the league because the way he talks, they asked him a question the other day. So how much does a scoring title mean to me? Nothing. I believe it's dangerous to chase things like that. I don't care about the scoring title. He sits out the last game. Joel Embiid wins the scoring title. He could have won the scoring title. He gives two shits about scoring title. That's why he's a good face, right? I think Elon's a good face. And he's going to inspire the next freaking sick people that are going to come up to even better than Elon did. So I'm convinced the next decade or two is going to be solid. I'm excited. And by the way, we're going to do our fight. We're going to do our part because it's not going to be like, it's going to be people at different levels that are going to be fighting. And those guys are going to unite. And then it's kind of be like, okay, Mr. Bullies, you guys good? You guys want to fight or you good?
I mean, it is very, very Fountainhead-like, right? Like, he really is like Howard Rourke.
Yes.
And you see, like, if he winds up buying CNN, that would be crazy.
Well, watch when it happens.
That would be wild.
Dude, watch
I
when
want
it
to invest in CNN today. I wish I invested in Twitter when it crashed.
Did you see CNN Plus's numbers, bro?
Oof,
Yeah.
Did you see the numbers?
10,000.
10,000.
What does that cost? That's got to be a
$300 million.
steal. Wow.
They spent $300 million and they got 10,000 to the point where CNBC tweeted it out.
Calls
Did
him
you
out,
see? Can you
yeah.
go to my Twitter and just put with CNBC? They're like, boys, you're not supposed to call out CNN, but that's why you trust capitalism. Go up, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going a little bit more. It's coming up
right
here.
here.
Oh, right there. Click on that one right there. That one right there. Look at this. CNBC says fewer than 10,000 people are using CNN Plus on a daily basis. 2 weeks into its existence, sources tell CNBC, casting doubt on the future of the app following the combination of Discovery and Warner Media. They're on the same page. So even people on the same page are calling each other out because capitalism freaking works. And it said, since when does CNBC call out CNN? This is why I trust capitalism. CNBC's OTT Peacock is kicking CNN's ass. Peacock has 9 million paid customers and CNN only has 10,000. It's that simple. CNBC is dominating CNN. Good for them. So 10,000
that's insane.
for 300 million. You just got Wallace. You're like, oh, we got Wallace from Fox News and we're going to have 10,000. No
Casey
problem.
Hunt. Do you think CNN's brand is tarnished
They need a good number one at the top.
irrevocably?
Until the right person is driving the company at the top.
So you think that it comes down to just a figurehead leadership?
Bro, 1 million. Ted Turner. Do you know what Ted Turner did to media? Ted Turner ran to be a president. Yeah, Elon Musk could be president if he was born here. Elon Musk is the kind of guy that could make the government change the laws to allow
100%
a man
agree
run
with
for
you on
office
that.
one day who's lived in America for 35 years. Elon Musk could be the reason why we may have an amendment to say anyone that's been a citizen of the United States for 35 years can run for office.
It would be really fun to watch the leftists argue against this.
It's great.
About not allowing foreigners to
Yeah,
run it. I
'cause
can't wait to hear that.
What are they going to say?
Did you hear what he
Yeah,
just
of course.
That's what they're for.
Did
What
you
are they
hear
going to say
what he
against it?
just
Break that down, Ethan. Why? Like, go there. Break that down.
Well, I'm just saying,
hilarious.
I just think any of these things, right? Any of these things are viewed through the perspective of what I want. So as long as it aligns with what I want, then it's fine. If, today, if you ask the majority of people on the left, should foreigners be allowed to run for president, they would say, hell yes, I assume. But if it was Elon Musk who was the foreigner, they would say, no. We only can have Americans running for, you know what I mean? I just think that's the way.
Put a poll up. I'm
Double
gonna do a poll
standard.
right now on Twitter.
That's
I'm gonna do a quick
but
poll
these are
here.
my assumptions.
But they're good,
You're not wrong, bro.
assumptions, though.
Yeah.
It's good assumptions that you got there. So can you imagine? Can you imagine if that happened? Can you imagine in the next 6-12 months, Elon owns Twitter, he owns CNN, and he owns a big ass freaking production, like a MGM. Oh, dude, just brace for impact. The best part about it is the following. You ever seen a bully cry when they lose? It's the best kind of cry. Oh, dude. I mean, there's different levels to crying. There's real crying where you feel bad for the person. There's crying that's funny crying. Like, dude,
Yeah, it's hilarious.
But the best kind, the greatest of the greatest crying is the bully crying.
Dude, it's like in your boy Denzel Washington in what's the movie? The Training Day.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
I built this shit. He starts crying like that's
Yeah.
the story.
that's your
It's the
boy.
best.
But like
It's the best.
everyone was rooting against Denzel Washington the entire movie, and then finally the whole hood turns against him.
Yeah.
And the cry and the sobbing, and you don't. Denzel's the man's man. You don't expect that from him, but that's the cry that everyone's like, hell yeah. Or like Ivan Drago in Rocky.
Yeah.
When Rocky knocked him out.
It's
right?
such a relief to see.
Right.
As an outsider, it's like, oh, freaking awesome, right? Everyone's talking about it. When Bill Burr was on Conan. I love Bill Burr and Conan. It's my favorite combination of interviews. I like Bill Burr.
Double
as a comedian.
gingers.
I
Oh,
love
dude.
Bill Burr. I did a movie with him.
Did you?
Yeah.
Which one was it?
Walk of Shame. We played cops. Me and Bill Burr were a pair of cops chasing this girl.
Is he the same on camera as he is off camera? Like, is he that's just the guy?
Pretty much.
Pretty much that's who he
Yeah.
is. Yeah, I can listen to Bill for hours. I won't get tired of it. But he says, he's sitting with, because so, were you following, Conan asked a question, were you following the election? Were you following? He says, yeah, maybe a little bit. You know, I was at the hospital. My wife was giving birth, and we had the TV on, and I'm watching this guy, you know, say things. And then he says, so what do you think about the results? He says, dude, I got to tell you, watching people on the other side cry and lose their minds. He says, Kirk Gibson, forget about it. U.S. beating, you know, whatever, the hockey. This is great. He keeps going. It's like, this was the greatest thing I've ever seen. The feeling of people that thought this will never freaking happen. I have a feeling right now, Elon, in the next 30, 60, 90 days is going to get hit up from every different angle. Girls are going to come out. They're going to get, guys are going to come out. You're going to see character assassination at the highest level. That's coming soon. FYI,
Well, that's
3,
what I
6,
mean.
12
Like,
months.
yeah, see, there's me and Bill. Don't we look like cops, me and Bill?
It's actually
It's
right,
just the
you do.
mustache. You throw a mustache on you, buddy, you could do anything you want with that mustache.
Oh, you were walking shit. Yeah, dude. How many movies you been in, bro?
Quite a few movies. I
Remember this movie.
I do feel like if he succeeds with Twitter, and if CNN catches wind of him trying to buy them, it is going to be a bloodbath with their reporting on Musk.
I love that.
What's her name, by the way, that actress?
Dunst?
No.
Chris.
She's a great
No, you're
actress.
thinking of
She was
Kristen
in,
Dunst.
I'm blanking on her name right now. Elizabeth Banks.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wasn't she in 40-Year-Old Virgin?
No, I don't think
Yes, she was.
She might have been.
Go see if
Little
she was in
hottie.
40-Year-Old Virgin. Type in, yeah, she was in 40. Go type in 40-Year-Old Virgin. Do the other way, Ron. Do 40-Year-Old Virgin, and then you'll see the cast because it's a while back. Type
That's
in,
right. She was in the Hunger Games. She
Yeah.
played the
telling you guys,
hostess.
she was in 40. She did at Blockbusters. Remember when they're
Yes.
What's your name? What's your name?
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
God.
yes.
Yeah, she was in it. It was that scene.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's a great scene between the two of them. She did a great job. Yeah, that scene right there, classic.
Oh,
By the way,
it was Steve Carell.
do you know where that is? That is at the Encino Bally Total Fitness. Used to have a Borders right there. That's my sister was the manager at the Bally Total. They shot it right there at the Encino Bally Total Fitness. I
Her
don't know if you know.
character could have been based on your sister.
Shout out to Paulette.
Shout out to Paul.
Working at the bookstore
So
with the 40-year-old virgin.
So going back to movies with different guys you've worked with, who did you see act and it's like one take type of guy? You're like, how the hell do you do just one freaking take? Like, who was the most ridiculous talent you've seen? And you know, it's unfair to ask this question because it's not like one or two. You've worked with the best of the best. But who was somebody, like when I talk to guys, you know, I've interviewed some of the guys in the mob movies, some of those guys, everybody's like, well, let me tell you, Marlon Brando, dude, this guy was like something else, right? And you talk to guys that are like the Chris Browns and some of these guys, ushers who have worked and done something with Michael Jackson back in the days, dude, one time, this guy's choreography. Who was that guy?
I'm less impressed by that. Being an actor myself, I expect people to come in and do a good job. What I'm really impressed with is work ethic and showing up on time and knowing your lines and just being prepared in those ways. And I will say, and I've been friends with him for 25 or almost 30 years. Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'd been on sets with him before I actually worked with him, and I just never paid attention to this. But working with him, he was always the first guy on set. He knew all his lines.
shit.
Really?
He never missed a beat. And for me, that's not always the case. Sometimes the star is the last guy on set, and you're all like on your marks, waiting for them to arrive, and they walk on, and you start. You know what I mean? There was that did not occur with him at all.
I would have never guessed you would have said Leo.
Does that set the tone for everyone? It's like if Leo's here first and he's working hard, like everyone.
It really does. Yeah. When you have guys who are starting to come in later, if they're hungover, if they're not prepared, if they're reading their sides, while they're standing on their mark, if they're holding it up a little bit, it drags a little bit.
Right.
But having a guy who's so gung-ho, who I've seen before where he's getting dressed while walking to set just because he doesn't want to hold anybody up. So I was very, very impressed with him when I worked with him.
Have you ever have you ever had scenes that maybe wasn't recorded, like how Christian Bale lost his mind on the audio guy or whoever it was that's walking back? It's one of the best scenes, by the way, when you see him lose it. There's something. It's like watching a chef lose it. There's something very.
Or Bill O'Reilly. Fuck it, we'll go live.
Yeah, there's something very creative madness. It's cool
like
to
a
see that
scientist in
scientist type
action.
of thing. Yeah, in
Yeah.
action. Has that happened where you're on a set and one of the main actors, like there's a slight little movement or adjustment, they just are so sensitive to everything that they lose it?
I mean, I've seen it before where I don't want to name names, but a long time ago, 15 years ago, I did a movie for television. They used to do that, like TV movies, and one of the actors got into a fight with a grip, like a fist fight with a grip over something like that, and I didn't even know what exactly had happened or if there was tension with these guys before, but suddenly they're fighting, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, work. You can't be doing this. And they got separated, and then it was fine. But I haven't seen anything quite as wonderful as those few instances. Also, when I started acting, so almost 30 years ago, we heard stories. There was a very famous, and I don't really want to get super graphic, but there were stories about a Sylvester Stallone recording because he was mic'd and went back to his trailer and something occurred and it got recorded. And I never heard the recording, so it could be just like an old wives' tale, but that scared the shit out of me. So anytime there was a microphone anywhere near me, I was like, somebody's listening, somebody's recording this, be careful.
Now, are you still tight with Leo?
Yeah, he's a very good friend.
When is Leo going to settle down? Or is he ever going to settle down and get married?
I don't know. I have no idea.
But by the way, I had I'm convinced of this. I may be wrong, but I had dinner with a guy named David Herzog, who was a CFO of AIG, and he was there with Bob and Moshe. These are the guys that went and got $183 billion from the government, and then they paid it back and gave $21 billion. This guy was a CFO, so he's like very, very powerful guy in the financial industry. And I said, so, tell me about yourself. Oh, I've been married 27 years. Oh, okay, cool. How many kids you guys got? We don't have any kids. Really? You don't have any kids? You guys, any reason? No, we just chose a long time ago. Our kids was our career. Really? Both my wife and I made our kids, our career, our kids. And that's how we treated it. And both of us have done very well. We run a restaurant on a golf course, and she manages that, and I do what I do here. I'm like, okay, cool. I think certain people make their career their wife or their kids, and some actually look at it that way.
Do you think that's what's happening with Leo?
First of all, do you think he lacks options? I mean, if he wanted to
0%. This is why we're enthralled by what he's got going on.
But I think the way he just described Leo makes sense to me why he can't do that, because to give that kind of a commitment, you can't have distractions and anyways, I'm speculating. I'm not his friend. He's his friend. But I'm just thinking certain people that take it to that level. I had a guy I talked to one time, and Greg, his name was this, but this is like 18 years ago. I said, if you were to tell me a few weird things that nobody talks about, that you want to make it all the way to the top, what would you suggest? He says, never get married, never have kids. I said, what? I said, but you're married and you have kids. He said, but I never made it to the top.
I will say, having a wife and kids, the absolute worst place to bring them is to work. It's the worst distraction ever, because if you're here and you're consumed and you're trying to do your job, to have this a movie set is almost like being at a construction zone. You know what I mean? Like nothing's ever fully built. It's all being presented from one direction, and there's stuff you can't touch and places you can't go, and there's nowhere to sit down sometimes. And to have this idea of like my wife and my kids, the people who I need to make sure they're okay all the time, are taken care of. I've done TV shows where I've brought kids in and gone like, you want to come, you're a PA, you have to work if you're going to be here, and we can have lunch together and all that, but I can't think like, what's my kid doing right now? Where are they? They're sitting in my trailer watching TV, or I don't know what, you know what I mean? It's a rough place to you really have to be concentrating on what you're doing.
Respect, man. The legacy and the stories of Leo are just insane. I mean, it was first, I think, Jeter, then Clooney. Now Leo is just the freaking man as far as like...
Leo's been the man for a few decades, though. It's not like
correct.
It's a new
That's
thing.
why people are, wondering what's next for this guy. But he's that dedicated to his craft is what you're saying.
He
so
is
you
very dedicated.
like, for instance, one of the things that I'm enthralled about with Pat is like his work ethic, but he's married and he's got 4 kids and he's running 2 businesses and he's dealing with all this. Yet he still is the first one and last one. Like it makes kind of like what you did with Leo. It makes you raise your standards and say, all right, I can't slack off. I got the boss over here doing more than anyone. I mean, that's kind of what you're saying with Leo over there. Do you think his work ethic would be exactly the same if he was married with kids, and that would kind of take away?
I think he would compartmentalize, because I think I have a good work ethic. I just think it's hard, like, to merge the two. So if you're him, and again, when I did that movie with him, he worked every day. I worked not every day, right? I worked many fewer days than him. So I could bring my family and make sure that I spent a lot of time with them too on the days that I wasn't working. They just couldn't come to work. For him, that's 6 months where he's working every single day. And then on the weekend, he's preparing for next week's work. And at night after work, he's preparing for tomorrow's work. And so I think it is less conducive in that. But I think he would be capable, certainly, of compartmentalizing these things.
Yeah, and I would assume, like, if you're, like, really lighting it up, you're, like, doing more movies and you're taking on more things. Once you have family and you decide to go the next route, then you're a little bit more picky and choosy on what you take and what you don't take. And
he's already pretty picky and choosy. Like, he doesn't have movies coming out back to back to back to back.
Yeah. You look at the list of... Do you put him as a top 10 of all time?
I think he's very good, yeah.
Who do you have as, like, if you were to say, I think, in, like, NBA, Michael, football, Brady, who you put in your top 5, top 10?
I think Daniel Day-Lewis is really hard to beat as an actor.
3 times, right? Is it a 3-time winner or a 4-time winner?
I don't even know. I just know that he disappears into these roles and he's always compelling, and I really enjoy watching him. Meryl Streep I like a lot. I don't go really too much deeper than that. I just like those two. I think those two are great, and I think Leo's an incredible actor too. But he's my buddy, so I don't want to. I don't want to think of him as that way.
Did you have someone that you kind of emulated? You said, "All right, I see what this guy's doing." Obviously, I want to be my own person, and all that stuff. But it's like, all right, cool. Like, this guy's doing it. I'm a bigger guy, but I've lost this weight. Who do you try to emulate?
Well, as of today, I'm just trying to almost figure out who I am now. I've been losing weight for 15 years or closer to 20 years. But like today, I am certainly different than what most people know me as.
Right.
When I was a kid, I didn't see him as a big guy, but I really looked at like guys like Peter Lorre, this old German star. And I just thought, like, what an incredible career that guy had. He was in so many different things and played so many different roles, and he was always interesting, and he was like the consummate that guy actor. And that's really the guy who I was like, if I could have a career like that, dude, I would be so happy.
Wasn't there a documentary called That Guy?
Probably.
Yeah, there was a documentary. Type in documentary.
On Peter Lorre?
No, a documentary, That Guy. Faces you know, but you don't know the names. There was a documentary called... who go back and just
that
go
guy
to,
who was in that thing.
Yeah, that guy who was in that thing. Yeah, that's a documentary. By the way, that one video that you see with Jonah Hill being interviewed, and he's kind of losing his cool, And he says, so, how does it feel like you're like that fat guy in Hollywood, right? You're like that fat guy in Hollywood. He's like, can we ask next question? He said, well, I'm just asking this because in Hollywood, you were the fat guy. Now you're the skinny guy. But you're still the fat guy. Does that help your career? And you can tell he's getting irritated, right? And I think he went to Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel's like, wow, you actually smell very good. And he says, why would you ask that question? So, I just didn't see you as somebody that would smell very good. Why not? And he's not being funny. He's actually being irritated. It's like, dude, what are you doing? So when you see him going through what he's going through, and you've recreated yourself, does that hurt the brand? Because, hey, who's the best guy that we can get that can play XYZ? It's Jonah. Okay, let's get him. Who's the best guy? Now we got to. Does it hurt the brand to position the actor in a role that maybe would have worked when he was not in shape instead of being in shape?
Typecasting, essentially.
Does it hurt Jonah's brand, or did it hurt my brand?
Both of you. I mean,
I don't think it hurt Jonah's brand. Jonah is a very, very funny person. He's very witty. He's written a lot of the stuff that he's done. So that's a whole other universe from what I do. I don't do that. I don't create material for myself, which, if I was capable of doing that, maybe I'd have a much better career than I do. I'm very happy with my career, but you know what I mean? Like Jonah Hill's clearly on a much higher level than I'm on. So I don't think it's hurt Jonah's brand at all. And if you see him now, he's so happy.
Oh my God!
His happiness infects me. I look at him, and I know there was a rough patch there, right? And I think and I don't know. We haven't talked. He's a buddy of mine too. We haven't talked that specifically about this, but something has washed over him, and he has let go of something, and he doesn't give a fuck anymore. The media's out there trying to, the media does shit where they try, like they did it to me too. Now they're nice to him, but there's a minute where you lose weight and they just want to criticize you and say like, you're not going to get work, or here's the downside. Look at his loose skin. Look at all this negative stuff. And they were doing that to him a little bit, and he just said, fuck you, I don't care. And he radiates inner peace and happiness now. Like it's marvelous. For me, yeah, it's affected my career a little bit. I just had a movie out, a couple of weeks ago called Dog, which I'm super happy.
Yeah, I saw
with.
that.
Yeah, it's a good
congratulations.
movie. Thank you. So it hasn't kicked me out of Hollywood at all, but. I also can look at my movie career prior to doing television and going like, well, doing television might have affected my movie career. You know what I mean? And I'd lost a sizable amount of weight at that point.
Doing television, is it a different? Okay, so what's a promotion in your world? Is it feature, or is it having a television show that stays for 3, 4, 5, 6 years?
I'll just put it to you this way. The most money I ever got paid for a movie was a movie called Mr. Woodcock, which wasn't a huge hit, but it was a fun movie. And the next thing I did was television, and I did television for 5 years. And if you do a television show for 7 months straight, you want to take those 5 months off. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go and do another movie. So I'm going.
Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah. So they're coming to
banging
me.
a teacher or something. What was that? What was that whole thing about?
He was the mean PE coach that then starts hooking up with one of the moms.
Right.
And
not Stifler's mom, but
right, Stifler's mom.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's not Stifler in that movie. Coming out of My Name Is Earl, My Name Is Earl ends. I've not done a movie in a few years, and now I'm like, okay, let's go do movies again. And movies were kind of like, well, you're a TV guy now, And so then it was doing pilots and more TV series. So, I can't say it's only weight loss that has, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So this paid you the most?
Most.
Till today?
Of any movie I've ever done.
Movie.
Yeah.
This paid you the most. Mm-hmm. Wow.
What was your role in this movie? Can you pull up?
I played his best friend, and me and him were, trying to track down dirt on Woodcock to break up him and his mom. But see, I wasn't at that point as big as I was in Remember the Titans.
Not even close.
Not even close. No, not even close. You, what do you weigh there? No, you're small
Probably
there.
way smaller
300
there.
pounds there.
Wow. Well, back to the Jonah Hill thing about, I think there's a part, and even with your situation, there's a part of, I think just the human condition. I don't know if this is Hollywood, but when you're so used to something and you change, you're like, oh, no, that's not who you are. You're the fat guy. What are you doing?
Right.
Right? You know, hey,
But
you're on
think,
TV, buddy. You're
right,
not a movie.
exactly.
There's part of that.
Once you do TV and it's like, it's a successful TV show, people are like, no, you're that character, right? When you're doing movie after movie, especially me, where I'm not a leading man, so I'm not the guy in the movie. You know, Denzel Washington, people probably have some sense of, I know who Denzel Washington is, right? He's this guy, right? And if he suddenly did a sitcom, people would be like, what the fuck is Denzel Washington doing? He's not a sitcom guy, you know, where he's playing like the goofy dad. People would be freaked out.
I would be freaked out.
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. So would I.
Yeah.
And so TV people, you know, the other differences it was explained to me once was like Brad Pitt, I believe, and I could be totally off here, Brad Pitt was talking to Johnny Galecki. Johnny Galecki was on Roseanne and then that math sitcom. I'm blanking on what it's called.
Big Bang Theory. Yeah, blonde dude.
No, he's got...
Oh, no, the glasses. He was, he was Darcy's husband. Or Roseanne.
Johnny Galecki had $100 million contract on that show. He was making a fortune. And Brad Pitt said to him, yeah, the difference between you and me is you're inside their house every week. You're in their living room. I'm in a movie theater. So people are not coming up to me going, hey, like people actually think they know you when you're on TV versus when you're a movie star, there's some separation. You got to go, and it might be changing now.
Very interesting.
It might be changing now because a lot of these movies are in the house too immediately, right? But it's also not serialized. So it's like, this is it. This is the movie. You don't get an episode 2 through possibly 100 of a movie.
Right. But when you're kind of talked about like, you're that guy. You're that, I mean, a lot of people in Hollywood or even in TV struggle with that. I mean, like Dustin Diamond, no matter what role he ever did, that was Screech.
Yeah.
Straight up. Mario Lopez, who hosted one of Pat's big events, Mario's been able to navigate. He's not AC Slater when you see that guy.
Still, he's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you
I
turn on a hotel.
See Mario Hotel. I was about to say hotel. Yeah.
He's everywhere.
And the way my career started in movies, I was in American History X and then Remember the Titans and then Blow. Those are 3 very, very different characters, right? And so you're not, I'm massive in all of them, but you're not pigeonholing me into, oh, I know everything about that guy, because then the next week I'm doing something completely different or the next
So what do they say when they see you? Like, was it different based on different movies that were out? Like when people would see you in public, what would they say?
It really is... It depends on their age and what they're into.
Was there ever a person that was upset with you because who you were in a movie, a role you played in a movie?
I have had a few...
You know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I have had a few people upset with American History X and offended by it. And I'm kind of perplexed because I think American History X was actually an important movie. And painted painted a real picture of stuff that happened, especially you from Los Angeles. You know, Orange County in the 90s was a scary place. There were some bad dudes down there. That stuff existed. I don't think it really exists like that as we portrayed it. I mean, I'm sure there are pockets in America, but it was easy to go down to Orange County and find some racist skinheads in the 80s or the 90s. Not so easy now. But like it was important in that way. And so to have somebody just like, the language was bad, you guys were so evil, I can't believe you did that, it confuses me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I process it. Like somebody comes, oh, you know what, you did this, and because emotionally you're connected to the movie, you're like, I can't believe you killed them in a movie.
Do you think that's more related to TV shows though, or movies?
But people don't seem to have a problem with any of the TV shows I've done.
Really interesting. But is that also due to the characters? Because I know, for instance, there are certain characters, like you mentioned in the TV shows, where they're in the living room week after week, year after year, in many cases, stuff like that, where there's TV shows where I think of a bad guy and that's all I see him as. Even when you see him in a movie in a different role, you're like, no, you're that dirtbag from that TV show.
Yeah.
And I think that given that you're in there longer and you're playing that role as opposed to a movie where you're a bad guy for 2 hours and then I go on with my life, maybe that could be more of an offset as opposed to the TV show.
I've played so few bad guys. I've played really like one. I'm trying to rack my brain.
Other than American History X,
like I don't think there's another one that I've done where I've been like a real legit bad guy.
Is that by choice or is that by casting?
I have nothing against playing a bad guy. I just haven't had many opportunities.
Well, it's good.
I'm a sweet guy.
Yeah,
exactly.
They see you as a good guy. They don't see you as a
Louis Lastic, baby. You're bringing the team together.
Two things I want to ask before we one of them has to do with where you're at. One is, are you following the Disney story? What's going on with Disney?
Very loosely. I personally don't watch or pay attention to the news at all. I'll read some articles, but I think I have an understanding of it. By the way, Disney's been canceled so many times by so many groups over the years. It's just like some people are mad at Disney now. Okay.
What you're saying is it's constant. That happens constantly. They're constantly being canceled.
It's just not the first time in my lifetime of being aware of Disney that there's been a group pissed off at Disney.
This is slightly different, though. This is slightly different because Charlie Cora. Did you see the story with Charlie Cora? Disney airs, and high school teacher comes out as trans, slams Florida education law. The great grandchild of the late Roy Disney, who co-founded Disney with the younger brother Walt, has come out as transgender. Is going to on the attack against Florida's parental rights and education law. Cora said that LGBTQ people already face rates of depression, anxiety, bullying, and suicide. They put aside something like that as a law. They can't learn about our community and their history or play sports or use bathroom they want to use. The claim is not entirely true. The education bill only prevents Florida children, So, you said something interesting. You said back in the days, it was them trying to silence what group were you
people
talking
on the right
about? People on the right.
Satanists,
the skinhead, not skinhead. It was
Satanists.
Satanists. Yeah. And then today now is the extremes being on both sides. But
I think the pendulum swings, man. I think it swung radically left, and unfortunately, it's gonna swing radically right.
Yeah,
probably. And so for me, I don't find that I really can get down with either of those extreme sides. I'm a guy who's just like, I'm interested in people. Mm-hmm. I find people fascinating. I'm interested into the solutions people have, and I'm interested in all of it. I don't want to like discount anybody, but this whole thing over this law in Florida, I read the law. The law is not saying what they're saying the law is saying. For me, I don't want kids. I mean, it doesn't seem like an opportune time to teach kids about sexuality from kindergarten to third grade. That's my perception on kids. So the idea of not teaching them that, not informing them on things like that, especially, I think that should be the job of the parents. So I don't understand why they're so freaked out about it. By the way, there's nowhere in the bill that it says don't say gay.
Nowhere in the bill. Yeah, that's just called great marketing. But one of the things that did you want to say something?
I was going to say you brought up yesterday the pendulum swings, and we're bringing it about today. I think that is America. I mean, not even just politically, societally. Everything just comes down to. I mean, think about it. Since 1980, we've had Reagan,
but
and then Bush.
Pendulum's never gone right with Disney.
No,
ever.
I'm not even saying Disney. I'm
talking
public opinion.
But,
then you go to Bill Clinton, and then you go back to Bush, and then you go to Obama, and then you go to Trump.
Look,
and then Disney, that's America. And then we're just constantly grappling with what the center of gravity is.
The cartoonists in Disney used to put dicks in the cartoons.
The Little Mermaid.
And
you're talking about the box?
Yeah, and
the box of Little Mermaid cover. That's what you're talking about?
But what it was in the actual stills, they would hide in the cartoons themselves. They would hide phalluses and graphic stuff in all of this. And they've removed a lot of it. It's not just that. You can look for instances of graphic images in Disney cartoons.
What the hell's that all about?
Well, I'm just saying there were times where religious groups were furious with Disney about this.
Well, I'm just a normal person, not religious. Why are you hiding dicks?
It's just not the first time people have been bent out of shape about what Disney. And then there was a time where, I don't think this is true.
Yeah, right there. I mean, that is clearly a
cock and balls. But
he said it. And the Little Mermaid.
I remember
on the cover of the Little Mermaid.
I remember
someone behind the scenes is basically saying, "I'm trying to ruin kids' lives."
Obviously, it impacted Adam's life.
I'm just saying. I remember thinking Ariel was pretty hot, and then there was a dick in the
very
picture.
angry with Disney. The left was angry with Disney because he wasn't unionizing his workers. So there was a time period where Disney was perceived as the right.
But that's different.
But that's anger from the left.
No, I don't know about that. I think that's different because, and of course, I know the story. I've been to the San Francisco Disney Museum that they have. I don't know if you've been there. It's pretty sick. It's sick. It's if you ever go to San Fran, you have to go to the Disney Museum. It's got a lot of good stuff there. But that's different.
Didn't they call Walt Disney a Nazi or a Nazi sympathizer and stuff like that?
Everything there.
But that's from the left.
I know. But what I'm saying is there's a difference between they're always going to target the guy at the top of any company. That comes with the territory, bro. If you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to have power, you're going to have influence, shit's going to be talked about you. This is trying to influence kids. This is different. This is the CEO saying 50% of the characters are going to be ... That's influencing the kids in a way that scares the crap out of parents on both sides. I don't think it's political anymore because I think regardless of you're a Democrat, Libertarian, Independent, Republican, you're a parent first if you got kids. And you got 4 kids, I got 4 kids. So we look at it from a different perspective. And the Florida bill says 3rd grade. And I'm like, dude, what 3rd grade? You shouldn't do it till high school. I don't care if it's 4th grade. You mean to tell me 4th grade is okay?
Right.
Anyways,
when is sex ed taught? Teach it then.
Health and guidance. Go talk
Is
then.
that's 6th or
10th
8th grade?
I was 7th grade
There's
in Norway.
2 levels. Yeah, so the banana and the condom, and then you got the health and guidance.
I don't know why it's being discussed before that, to be honest with you.
We're on the same page there. I don't disagree with you. And by the way, this next story, until maybe we'll take a caller. John, if we have any callers, let me know if we do have call. Okay, good. So we got a story comes out, which is pretty interesting on who's going to be challenging. So Mick Mulvaney says Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott, and Dwayne Johnson could seriously challenge Dwayne Johnson, Trump in 2024. This is an insider story. Former acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney thinks just 3 people could seriously challenge Trump in 2024. Florida Governor DeSantis could give him a run for his money. South Carolina Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott can give him a run for his money, as well as Dwayne Johnson could give him a run for his money. It's a short list. By the way, there's one other person who could beat him, which is myself. Donald Trump is, himself. That's what he's talking about. Donald Trump is sometimes his own worst enemy when it comes down to campaigning. So, but I mean, my main part with this story isn't Trump. It's Dwayne, Hollywood, running. Can you see, Rock running for office and being a president? Can you see something like that happening sometime?
I couldn't see Trump doing it. So I think after Trump did it, I think anybody, Oprah could be president, Musk can be president.
You can be president. You can be.
For me, it's just like.
Who would you like to see be president? If you're like, would you see Musk be president? If he could, I'm not talking about I'm not asking question like Hillary Clinton, or I'm not talking political. Who would you like?
There's a meme. Maybe you could pull it up. Vote for nobody. This is my political philosophy to a T, 100%. And this is what I believe is the way to the best future. That's it. Vote for nobody. Nobody will keep election promises. Nobody will listen to your concerns. Nobody will help the poor and unemployed. Nobody cares. Nobody tells the truth. That is
nobody party.
That is who I'm voting for.
Sounds like give government less power.
I like that. I kind of like that.
You know who's going to line up and vote for that party? Nobody.
I am.
Just you.
That's what I'm voting for. You know where you vote for that party? In your house. You don't leave your house.
John, if you got any callers, let's get a couple callers here. I think you said you got a few lined up.
Yeah, we have Alex on the phone.
Alex, how are you?
Oh, man. What's going on, Mr. PBD? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. So what's your question? What's your question for our friend here?
All right. So a couple things. Ethan, man, I loved you and Remember the Titans, man. I know people probably give you a lot of gush about that, man. But I just want to tell you, man, you're still one of my favorite actors out there, both on and off the screen.
Thank you.
One of the things I wanted to ask you personally this morning was, what was your greatest psychological obstacle that you felt you had to overcome in order to encourage the transformation that you underwent?
I started out, and it's possible because I had so many failures that I was convinced that I would fail. And I think that that entering into anything, believing that you'll fail is a disaster. It's a path to failure. So it was really kind of turning my perspective around and building small victories and ultimately having belief that I could succeed.
Awesome. Great question. John, let's go to the next caller.
Who was it that said he who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't is usually right?
Is right. As a man think it. Isn't that as a man think it? I think that's the author.
All right,
That's
we have Aaron on the phone.
Aaron, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys, man?
I'm good. So what's on your mind?
So just coming from somebody who's in their early 20s, I also went kind of through a transformation. I lost more than 100 pounds, and I'm just wondering what advice would you give somebody in their early 20s, Ethan, to kind of prevent them from developing those bad habits again and just staying focused and just keep pushing it through, I guess.
Yeah, so this is great, and I love this because this is what I think about more than anything. For me, time and time again, I had a goal. I want to lose X amount of pounds. I lose X amount of pounds, and then my goal is over, and then I gain weight again because I am programmed to gain weight. So how do I unprogram myself? And really, it's about having the goal be maintenance. And maintenance, eating within a zone where you're neither going to gain nor lose weight is much harder because it's teaching yourself basically how to eat. And that's the thing that I've worked on more than anything else. Because for me, losing weight is not that hard. I eat a little bit less. It might be miserable. It's for a very short period. And then it's over. And then I eat whatever I want and I gain weight again. And it's how do we get out of that? So it's really having the goal be, I don't want to be morbidly obese ever again. Okay, how do I do that? And then I can get more and more specific, but setting these very long-term goals rather than just, I'm going to concentrate on this 100 pounds. Because once you're done with the 100 pounds, you've crossed the finish line. You're no longer doing it, and you're just going to be doing what you were doing before that got you to the place where you needed to lose 100 pounds.
Do you like being this guy? Meaning people could ask you about Hollywood movie stuff all day, but people are really fascinated by your transformation, your weight loss. Do you relish that? Dude, this is why people want to talk to you?
I love anything that keeps me accountable. Anything. So I want to talk about weight loss as much as possible because I've lost 100 pounds 4 times. I've lost 200 pounds multiple times, and then I've gained it back. And it's fucking mind-shattering and destroying to wake up one day and realize I had gotten there and I went back. And so I never want to go back again. And as much as I can talk about it, I'm happy to.
When's the last time you were 300 plus or at a weight you're just I do not like myself right now?
2017 or 18.
This is pretty recent.
Yeah, I mean, I've maintained this for 4 years.
That's
now.
pretty solid though. For 4 years.
Keep it up, bro.
Yeah,
we're gonna hold you accountable.
Solid.
We're gonna have you back on. You better
you.
be fucking looking great.
Thank you.
Real quick, Alantino asked a question in the chat. What do you think of Johnny Depp and the fact that he's on trial right now? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I really liked Johnny Depp when I worked with him. I that was also over 20, probably 25 or 26
in
years
Blow?
ago.
Was that in Blow?
Yeah, in Blow. And he was a real sweetheart. I just the whole thing makes me sad.
He seems like a great guy, and he's lost all his roles with Disney over this. And he loved being a part of Disney movies, Alice in Wonderland, Pirates of the Caribbean, and they've ripped him out of everything because of this trial.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's just getting absolutely screwed over nothing.
Yeah, it makes me very sad. I don't know what to say beyond that. I don't know the details.
By the way, you know what Johnny Depp and Elon Musk have in common? They both were married or dated the same girl, Amber Heard.
Right.
Same time?
I think she went from Johnny to Elon Musk like that.
It was close to the same.
Yeah.
time.
I don't know what's going on in the water with this chick Amber Heard, but
Yeah.
We have one more call. With
she's
John.
doing some magic on men.
Yeah.
Go for it.
John, you're live.
Oh, okay. Hey, Pat.
How you doing, John?
I'm doing astonishing. I'm at work right now.
I love it. What's
The
on your
question I
mind?
have for you is this offer that Elon is making to Twitter to buy out the whole company with an astonishing premium, is that too good to resist? And with Bezos owning Washington Post, does Elon go for like New York Times next? You know, not like CNN. CNN, I don't think is very redeemable at this point, even with Elon at the helm. But New York Times, I think, would be an opportunity for Elon to capture.
For them to let them buy New York Times, I don't think he would do New York Times because I don't think that excites him. I don't think it's fast enough for him. I think New York Times is slow and it's a little older. Although I think he should buy New York Times if it goes for sale, just to add it to his portfolio of companies he's owning. The question you got to ask is the following. Here's the question you got to ask. When he makes an offer like that, people wake up this morning, I just made an offer. You know, people make an offer to buy a baseball card. People make an offer to buy a car or a house. This guy makes an offer to buy a freaking company, right? Okay, that's what I'm. Good morning. Here's an offer. There's going to be 3 people in that boardroom and the company. There's going to be those who are going to be like, hell yeah, I want the money. We're good. Do it. Okay. Then there's going to be those in the middle that are actually processing this decision. And they're not processing it from a negative place or a positive place. They're just saying, what does this look like? Let's negotiate the terms, right? They're actually coming from a place of, I want to hear both sides of the story. Very, independent kind of thinking. But you have to ask the question, who does not want Elon to buy this? Do you think the existing CEO wants Elon to buy this? I say hell to the no. Do you think the media wants Elon to buy this? You know the answer to that question. Do you think everybody in the government wants Elon to buy this? Of course not. Every time the government has meetings with EV CEOs, there's only one EV CEO they don't invite, and it's the guy who created the trend of electrical vehicles, Elon Musk, and he's not invited. We missed him on the list. How the hell does that make any sense? It's like saying, let's recognize the top 50 greatest basketball players of all time, and you don't invite Michael Jordan. What happened there? We just kind of figured we bring everybody else but Mike. So, yeah, you got to ask the question on this deal getting done or not. I trust capitalism because I think the people in the middle will tilt to the right. The people on the right that are like, I'm just doing a business deal. Yeah, let's take 40%. This is a no-brainer. I'm in. You got to ask who does not want to see this happen and how much influence are they going to have and how many games are they going to play to make sure Elon doesn't end up buying Twitter. That's my biggest concern. Yes.
Real quick, got a $20 super chat, Passion Planet. Ethan, what did you learn from the character Seth?
From the character Seth.
In what movie was this?
American History X.
Oh, gotcha.
I learned. Okay, here's the honest truth. I went into it with an idea of making this guy a cartoon and a caricature, and I learned that I was probably better off making him a human being. He's still a little bit cartoonish because people can be cartoonish, but I felt like at the end of the day, I wanted him to have some humanity, and that could be a bummer to people, but I think that in portraying anybody, even if you go into it knowing like this is a guy that lines up polar opposite to me, he's still a person, and so that was really the lesson I took away from that.
I've seen that movie I don't know how many times. It's one of the, acting beginning. Everybody in that movie was like the father, the table, when they're having the dinner or whatever that was, and he gives this 8-9 minute monologue and he goes
Ed
off
Norton,
and
right?
the scene on the sidewalk with the street,
the sidewalk,
the brother
with the
in
mouth.
the bathroom, the ending of the movie where you're crushed as a viewer. It's an incredibly profound movie with a message that kind of like, oh, that's right. Like, I was like, oh shit, that could also happen. That's what I like about the movie because it's screwing up with both sides. Everybody's kind of confused by the time the movie's done, and everybody's held accountable by the time its movie's done. Very good movie.
Where's Ed Norton these days? What's he doing?
I just did a movie that he directed a few years ago called Motherless Brooklyn. He's around.
He's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not as seen as much anymore. Is that purposeful?
I think that's intentional.
Really? Why is it?
Yeah. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. But he could do whatever he wants.
Dude, you're in, like, Pat started the episode off with all the names, right? Johnny Depp, Matthew McConaughey, Leonardo DiCaprio,
in
Denzel.
fairness, I don't know that I ever met Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, forget about McConaughey, whatever.
Yeah.
But the names are ridiculous. Okay, Ed Norton. At any point, do you just like pinch yourself and be like, dude, I get to work with the greatest fucking actors of our generation?
I pinch myself when I'm with my kids and my wife, and I have this life that truly feels like a fairy tale to me. Like, I'm not kidding. There was a point in my life when I was a teenager where I thought, like, what do you really want? And it'd be a wife and kids. And I'd go like, yeah, that's never going to happen. That's impossible. To find somebody that really loves you, to have a relationship that's meaningful, to create children and watch them grow. And that, for me, honestly, is when I pinch myself and go, check me out. Holy shit, look what I did. I can't believe it.
That's awesome.
How
You
old
have
are
that
the
same
kids?
feeling, by the way, as a father?
Bro, you know what's crazy? This week, we were with Joe for those couple days, and then we rented out Foxborough, and I'm hanging out with Patriots players, and I'm having my 97 of my executives over there. We're watching Man in the Arena. Every episode we watched together for 2 days, and then we had Patriot players come, including Tom's, one of his managers, and they talked about what it was like to create that kind of a culture. Do you know the entire time what I was thinking about? I was thinking about coming home and seeing Dylan and seeing Tico and Senna in Brooklyn. It's crazy. There's a unique feeling with family.
Yeah.
And by the way, you know, when you're saying like, how's it feel knowing you've acted with all these other guys? There's 50 million actors in the world that would love to have had the career that you've had, bro. You've had a ridiculous career. And not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years, not 5 years. How many years?
Almost 30 years.
Dude, that's crazy to be able to say that. You're 46, 13, 16. What was the first gig you did? What was the first big movie you did?
First movie, Mallrats. Which was
Kevin Smith,
not a
those guys.
hit, but then became like the most rented movie at Blockbuster for a while. Like it became
Same guys
big.
that did Clerks and the whole saga that they did.
Yeah.
Silent Bob and Jay and Silent Bob, those guys.
Yeah, that movie's 30 years old.
Well, very cool, man. This has been great having you on, brother. This was fantastic. Learning about you, learning about your story, and where you're at today. You are an inspiration. I saw a video of you on Men's Fitness with 9.5, 10 million views. You're literally inspiring tens of millions of people. That's very, very, because, you know, we had David Berlinski here yesterday, and I said, how do you describe to your son what it is to be a man? Like, what is it? What is the purpose of a man's life? And he gave, you know, his example of you should be like your grandfather, because his grandfather was like a legend.
Fought Nazis.
Yeah, he was a man's man. But I think a part of life as a man, human being, is to inspire others who are going through challenging times, that don't think there's any way to get out of it, and you're like almost in a spider web, and you're stuck, and you're trying to, it's like that nightmare you have where you're trying to run and a bad guy's chasing you, just can't move, you're like stuck like this. And some people are living that in their real life, and a guy like you is inspiring literally tens of millions of people. Props to you. Of course, you got an incredible resume, beautiful family that you built, and what you're doing with your family. The last few sentiments you gave about that, and having worked with a lot of different guys in the industry. But, you know, at the end of the day, we somehow, some way, we want to inspire others to also, you know, do something with their lives just like we did. You're doing that. It's powerful. It's powerful. Brother, great having you on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was a blast. Folk, I don't know when is are we doing something next Tuesday or no? So next Tuesday, I'm gone all week.
You're out of town.
You're out of town all next week.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Friday, we may have Joe Rogan's buddy.
Yeah.
Tony.
Tony.
Oh, man, I had such a good time
Tony
with
Hinchcliffe?
him. Yeah,
Yes.
He's hilarious.
I was, dude, I almost, let me tell you, I'll tell you one story. Literally, I'm watching Tony perform, and Joe got us tickets front row, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, Tony tells a joke, he says, you know, I get the other day, one of my good friends was very disappointed, and he calls me, he was upset. I said, what's that? He says, man, I'm not going to lie to you. You know, I found out my wife and I were expecting a kid, and it's going to be a girl, and I'm heartbroken because I wanted a boy. He says, really? He says, yeah. He says, don't worry. Nowadays, just be patient. She may end up being a boy. Tony, it's hilarious. Oh, my God, this guy's funny.
patient,
Like,
buddy.
he was unreal on how good he was. So maybe we'll have it with him on Friday,
Right.
and then.
But we are not here next week. You're out of town. All
Seriously,
week.
I know I'm out of town. I just didn't know. We're not doing nothing next week.
maybe Friday
Well,
with
listen,
Tony.
I'll show you one thing here that we got since we're not going to be with you. I got so many things I want to talk to the guys about. We have so many topics. YouTube, we just got for this channel. Of course, we have this for. We have 100,000 thing for like 5 other channels. We have one with 3 million, but we just got one for the podcast, which is all because of you guys. We just crossed 100,000 for the pod.
No, we've crossed it a
We're
year
at
ago
187.
almost.
We're at
87,000
187.
subscribers again.
YouTube's running late.
You know what we should do? Here's what we should do. Maybe we do something like if we Let's put a timeline. When we get to 250, we invite a couple of the listeners to the podcast to come and join us with the guests that we're going to have. Maybe we'll announce that on the next time, but this wouldn't happen without you guys. Obviously, Adam, you've been on a lot of these podcasts. Every guest, every co-host we've had, everybody that we've had on, it's a help with all those folks that have worked together on helping the podcast and the guys in the back. But we got a couple other things that just came in. I think Adam got a gift. Did we open up this? I don't know. I don't even know what this is. They just brought. Do you know what it is?
I have zero clue.
All right, let me see what this is from the desk of DJ Anthony. Let me see what this is. So, you got a certificate of completion. What is this thing here? Hey, Pat, or whoever's reading this, you recently asked on one of your shows for viewers to send in something for the new studio and its shelving. I thought a nice certificate would go on the display shelving. The best part is you can choose who receives the Soy Boy Award. Duh. You know who's getting this. Anyways, great show. You and your crew are an inspiration, and not because of money, but because of your friendship and family continued success. Oh, check out my YouTube channel, too. Wellness Week. Well, thank you for this. He sent this out. I think this, obviously, certificate publicly, Adam, goes to you. Congratulations.
Wow. Soy Boy extraordinaire, DJ Anthony. Respect to you,
how many people...
for achieving full
just think about the level of enlightenment. How many people woke up today, went to work, and they got a certificate for Soy Boy stuff?
Not a lot of them.
You're part of an elite community.
A lot of employees at fast food restaurants are the employee of the week or employee of the month. I'm the Soy Boy of the year.
I am still curious to know who gave that comment of him being a soy boy. Because
they started something bigger than them.
They did, and
anyway,
crazy,
I had high expectations for this episode, and I think we exceeded those with Ethan. Respect to you, brother.
I like how you just changed the subject. I thought it was going to go so well, and
then oh my god, no.
So Decentral Boys are artists who love creating fun, original Valuetainment and PBD Podcast. Are fans of your dedication to entrepreneurship and goal setting and making dreams become a reality is a true inspiration to us. We were on one casual trading cards. We're thrilled to see your passion for collecting cards. Yes, as fans, we are Decentral your custom trading cards as a gift. Custom trading cards as a gift. Okay. I have no clue what this is, by the way. And the guys told me you got to do this on camera. Mm-hmm. Not only did we print out actual PBD trading cards, but we actually minted them as NFTs on the blockchain on OpenSea.
Oh my God.
On our own account, the QR code on the back of each trading card will direct you to the webpage of each individual NFT. If you choose to claim your free NFT each card, you can simply reach out to them. Awesome. Okay, all right, let's see what this is. That's pretty sick. I see what we got here, man. Do you collect cards or no?
No.
Dude, I love cards, like crazy cards. All right, let's see what this is. Oh my gosh, how do I open this? Oh, that picture just looks... Oh my, you guys.
Is it you playing baseball?
Dude, but I've never played organized baseball. These guys are just, they know I collect cards. How do you open this thing? Can you open? Okay, there we go.
Is it a Juan Gonzalez rookie card?
Oh my God, look at this shit.
PBD looking like Ty Cobb over here. Amazing.
Look at this. Like I'm a Formula One. They created this stuff. Oh, this is an error. Valuetainment, PBD Entrepreneur, and it's an NFT. It's literally NFT. Okay, we got a few of them.
Unbelievable.
Look at this one here. I look like man, this is
Mickey
insane.
Mouse.
Looking like Senna right here.
This is something for itself.
Well, first of all, Toshi and the boys, you guys are freaking sick. This is awesome.
This is ridiculous.
I love this gift.
That's
Thank
so
you guys.
sick.
Much love to you guys. And we are definitely going to go out there and look at the QR code and claim it. Tyler, can you put their handle in the comment section so people can find them? Decentral Boys, like Central, Central Boys with a Z. Boys with a Z. Decentral Boys is their Instagram account and their Twitter account. Fellas, thank you for this. Appreciate you. Freaking sick.
Sick gifts.
Awesome.
Today.
I love it. Unique gifts. Anyways. I wasn't going to do it today with you because this was about you. I normally wouldn't open up a gift with a guest, but we're not here next week, so we're kind of doing this today. Mm-hmm. But I had a blast. Gang, we'll miss you next week. We may be together on Friday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.